Hello and welcome back to another episode of FTB Sky Factory 2.5. My name is Twin Minds, and today I am going to fulfill a previous promise. I did promise to do some magic, and magic we shall do. But first, I do need to give myself a little bit of a peace of mind. No, not the horse head that's in my bed. That's a whole different peace of mind. I need to craft an experience obelisk from Ender.io. I got all the stuff prepared for it. It's pretty easy to do. You can use this experience rod to do certain things with experience, but ultimately I need the obelisk form, which allows me to store my experience. I'm just going to plop it right here and store it for later. I can either retrieve or store all the XP in here, and that's mainly because I didn't want anything going wrong. I didn't foresee anything going wrong in the near future, but I would rather not lose 53 levels of experience by sheer mishap. So I've been collecting that for quite a while, and I figured I needed to store it somewhere, and Experience Obelisk is a pretty safe place to store it that I'm aware of. So I can just come back here and grab all 53 experience if I need to and plop it right back in there whenever I want. So it's a nice way to store it quickly without worrying too much. Now, my stuff has been running for quite some time here. You see it's all running non-stop, and that is a good thing. I've gotten a lot of stuff, including 186 redstone, so I don't have that problem, at least as much anymore. 186 still isn't a lot, but it is a lot for now. And I've got a lot of stuff in this wall of drawers here. You can see I had to go quite high. I did put most of my ingots and stuff in here, so that anything coming out of the sifter just automatically gets pumped right into here and into an appropriate drawer. So I don't have to worry about storing it all anymore. The only thing I haven't done is my various alloys, which I don't have enough of them to consider storing much right now. So I'm not worried about them yet, but I will eventually. Now, down here you'll notice I did add a little bit of a step down into what will eventually become my Thaumcraft area. There's quite a lot of space involved in Thaumcraft. We'll get to that eventually, but for right now I just need a place to put stuff. I did remove my farm. My farm was not really doing me all that much good. I've got plenty stored up, so I don't need food anywhere in the near future, and eventually I will set up an automated farm. So this could go, and I was going to replace it with something else. I decided that I would like my Thaumcraft area to be slightly recessed from the main level, because I'm kind of tired of everything being on one flat plane. That's why I went up there, and that's why I'm going down here. And you'll notice lack of symmetry. I'm okay with this, because I'm kind of liking the organic flow that it's got going on here. Now, to start off with Thaumcraft, the first thing that we're going to need is to take a look at the book. The book has a lot of stuff going on. I'm not really going to go into too much detail because every single aspect of it covers in great deal what each piece is about. There's a lot of it. Even a book, an entry on the book itself in the book. So I won't cover all of it, but the big pieces to start off with is research. How you discover things. Ultimately, Thaumcraft is all about discovering the nature of magic in the world and the various elements that make up the world as a whole. And to discover that, you need a few things. You need a thermometer, or a thermometer, however you choose to pronounce that. That is how you scan items in the world to discover what aspect of magic they have. And then you need a research table to make use of those aspects to put them together in a meaningful piece of knowledge to give you something to work with in the world. So just to build this thermometer, as I will call it, you just need a little bit of gold and glass and these shards. These shards are kind of the concentrated essence of the primal magics. Now, the primals, as covered in many different fantasy components, I guess, that cover magic. The standard air, earth, fire, and water. And this one also adds light and dark in the form of order and entropy. To get those shards, you have to break them up. Normally, you would have ores in the world. Obviously, we have none of those things. So the Skyblock variant has ways to break up different blocks into shards. And apparently, that doesn't work with the chicken. So I'm going to have to build a real hammer. That is quite alright. I'll put these away here. I suspected that might happen. So let me... Whoa, way too much. I will get some sticks here and build up another hammer. I was kind of hoping the chicken stick would do it, because I liked having that chicken stick as a invulnerable stick or hammer that I can hammer things with. But that is fine. So, those grass blocks are awash. I wasn't too concerned about them. But that would have gotten me the earth, I believe. This one gets me the fire shards, as you can see here. And then we also have the sandstone, which I believe gets the air. And some leftover sand. There's the air. And then the last one that I had on me was these stone slabs, which you have to pack up like that to make the full stone slab block, and then break them up to get the order shard. I don't need all of these, but I figured why the heck not. There we go. Now I've got a few shards to work with here. I don't quite know which one's going to be the easiest to get, so I'm not concerned about which one I overuse at the moment. I might as well use the order shards. And then make up the thermometer. Now the thermometer, you hold up like this, and then you hold right click to scan. Now you see nothing happening there. In the very far corner, bottom right, I'll cover it up there so you can see it. You can see you understand that you need to study plants, or sorry, to understand that you need to study plants, because this is made of wood. Now it basically told me that I don't know anything about the world at the moment. I don't know what plants are. I don't know any magical components that make up anything. And this one is made up of basic elements, earth and entropy, perditio. So those two I now know, but that still doesn't really tell me much about crafting stations, because I still need to know about plants first. So then you just go around scanning stuff in the world. This one is lux, which is light. Now lux is a compound. Lux is made up of two different components of the primals, which I believe is order and fire, although don't quote me on that. We'll cover that in a moment. And that is kind of how you build up your knowledge of the world. You scan different things. Now this one says I still need to study plants, because again, it's made of wood. As you scan different stuff, it will kind of tell you a hint of what you need to scan. This one says nothing can be learned from this, because it is a modded block that did not opt in to include magical elements for this. Now not all mods do that. Some mods do actually include stuff that will work with Thaumcraft. So that is going to be something that I'll have to do a lot off camera here, is scanning everything and all of the things to try to figure out how to get up in the world. Now, a mod that was added in here that I was planning on adding myself if it wasn't already in here is inventory scanning. Normally you have to scan stuff in the world, which includes dropping stuff in the world and then scanning it, like so. But this allows you to take the thermometer and just hold it over something that's in your inventory so you can learn from it without having to drop every item into the world. So that's a very nifty mod that I pretty much consider mandatory now for Thaumcraft. Before I learned about it, you had to drop every single item onto the world, scan it, and hope you get it. Oh look, I didn't get anything. So next time I'm going to have to drop that into the world again and scan it again to try to figure out what it's all about. So it's much easier to just grab this from the inventory and just start scanning. It'll show you what you've already scanned, and you can go from there. Now I'm learning stuff as I hover over things, but not everything. It's going to take me a while to build up all the knowledge that I need to learn everything that there is about the world. But I will start with the next step, which is research. So to do research, I need tables. I happen to need 3 of them. I did not plan that. That just happens to be how many slabs I've got. However, shift-click did make use of the rest of my slabs, so that's okay. So, to do research, you plop down a pair of these tables, and then you need another thing. You need scribing tools. Scribing tools are made up of either a glass bottle, feather, and some sort of black ink, or a glass file. A glass file is a Thaumcraft component. You get 8 of them per almost glass bottle crafting, plus a little bit of clay. These can be used to move around some of the magical essences later. But for right now, I'm just going to use a regular old bottle. And you take these scribing tools and you plop them on top, like so. And it turns it into the research table. It's a nice little model with that shuffled papers on top. And this is the wonderful research component. This thing has been known to drive me crazy on more than a few occasions, but I will push through. Each of these is the aspect. It gives you the magical name of it, air for air, go figure. Aqua for water, ignis for fire, lux for light, etc. As I collect more magical knowledge in the world, I will have more of these filling this table. To get research done, I need to find my book. You need to have paper and the scribing tools in your inventory, and then you click on one of these to get the research note. Then if you go into the table, plop the research note in here, and put your scribing tools in, and now I've got a research to work on. Knowledge is power, research expertise. Now this is one I know I want, but I don't know how to work with it yet. Ultimately, it's kind of a game of connect the dots. I need to take this component here, and these two that I don't technically know about yet, and then move these into the grid to match them up. It's a little bit complicated to explain, but ultimately each one that is adjacent needs to either be something that you can make from this one, or that you can make with it. So Potentia, for example, I believe is Lux and Fire, although I don't recall for sure. If you look in the book, it actually tells you these things under this one. Aspects of magic. So Lux is air and ignis, and Potentia is ordo and ignis, so I was wrong there. But because it is made of ordo, I can put Potentia right here in this slot because it is made from ordo. Now, the next one that I can put in here could be ignis or ordo, because both of those make up Potentia, or I can put something that has Potentia in it as a third tier crafting material, or crafting magic aspect, so to speak. So ultimately you just need to get it so that all of them connect to learn this research. Now, I'm going to be doing almost all of this off camera because it drives me nuts, and I typically have to cheat to get them. There's a different method to get research. And let me grab this in case I need it. Let's see if I can find one in here. These ones. These... No, not the square ones. The hex ones, I believe they are. Yeah, these ones. These hex ones, they do not require the research. Instead, they just require a certain quantity of aspect points like these, and then you just pay for it outright and just understand that knowledge right off the bat. So once I unlock one of these, I can just pay for it and get it. The things that I need to start with, though, are typically alchemy. So let me get some Nitor and put that one in. And my scribing tools. So I ultimately need to get from fire to Lux. Now Lux does have fire in it, so it's pretty easy to bounce between the two. Now I don't have much Lux at the moment, but I'm not worried about that. So I could go from Lux to fire. See that line connects, showing that it's working. And then I can go from fire to Lux. And then I can go from fire to Lux. So now I've got these 3 connected and these 2 connected. And the easiest way to bridge that connection is that both Lux have fire in common, like so. And now I have discovered Nitor. I just right click on that discovery and boom, research completed, Nitor. So now if I look in the book, I have Nitor, and now I have information about it. Now, Nitor is made in the Crucible, which is the next item that I need. I'm going to go ahead and plop down my table, though, and then the wand on top of that, which makes the magical crafting grid. The magical crafting grid has a spot for a wand up here, and it is not only a regular old crafting grid that you can use to make things out of, with the regular crafting components there, but also you can make magical things that require magical energy. So you have to make those in this grid. I'll be covering those later when they come up, but for right now, I'm just putting that there, because why not? Now the next one that I need is my wand, and then the cauldron. I don't really care where I'm putting this right now. The cauldron, and then right-click it with the wand, and it turns into a crucible. Now, this is how you make a lot of the magical alchemical components, like the Nitor that it says in the book. So the Nitor requires 3 Ignis, 3 Lux, and 3 Potentia, and then you drop glowstone dust as the catalyst to make the Nitor. I'm going to have to grab a couple things off camera here, and then I will return to explain the rest of that process. Alright, I think I'm ready to go here. I built a little bitty platform for my crucible here, mainly because I have a bad habit of missing when I try to throw stuff in, so I like having a little bit of a backdrop there. You can see that I filled it with water, and it is starting to bubble. The bubbling indicates that it is ready to start cooking stuff up. I have put some lava under here, however that is a little bit hazardous, so I'll be swapping that out in just a moment here. The way that you cook stuff up in the crucible is that you drop the items in, and then you drop in the catalyst, and you kind of have to be quick about it. So, since the book told me that I need 3, 3, and 3 of Potentia, Ignis, as well as Lux, what I will be doing is I will be making 2 of these to make 4 total, and then let's do 3 of these to make 6 total, so I can make 2, and then I will also have to plop in 6 torches. So you can just throw them right on in, and you hear that bubbly noise. They are giving colored bubbles now to indicate what items are in there, and then torches, and then I can drop in my 2 glowstone dust, and I have gotten my Nitor out. Now, it's not very visible, but the water level did go down a little bit. After a few uses, you do have to refill it. Another thing that can happen is if I didn't do my math right, which I almost didn't because I tried to do 2 instead of 3, if you don't do the math right, it leaves leftover magic in the pot. And if you leave that go long enough, it will turn into a hazardous magical byproduct called flux. I prefer not to do that, so I prefer to do the math properly wherever I can. Sometimes it's not avoidable. There are ways to fix that in the future with certain things that allow you to put in 1 of each rather than random quantities that the items dictate. You can do a concentrated magic similar to these. However, these are a little bit too concentrated and have some other aspects on them as well. So you can see I've done a little bit more scanning here. I can't scan my grass blocks yet because I actually need something first before I can do that. But I'm not too worried about that yet because I'll show you in just a moment here. But I do need to swap this out. Let me grab that before it becomes hazardous. Now Nitor is a magical light source as well as a heat source that can be used for this. So if I did that right, and if I'm right, yep, it started bubbling again. So it can be used as a safe heat source for your crucible, which is why I wanted that lava out of there as quickly as possible. And then my Nitor comes back again, and I can use this as a light source if I want, like so. So they're pretty, and they added a nice little magical touch to the world. Alright, so the next part that I need is more research. So in this grid, if I'm attempting to learn how to do this, say for example I run out of Lux, which I almost did, I can create by clicking them in like so, and then clicking the button to merge them, and it gives me the component that I needed, which in that case was Potentia instead of the Lux I was aiming for. We do have to click them out of here if you want to replace them, and there's the Lux that I wanted. So that's how you make more of the complex ones, so that in case you run out of them, because it's quite easy to run out of them. Now the one that I need to make by hand here, there's a couple of them. I need to make Aqua and Terra to make Victus, which is the essence of life, and then I need Aqua and Air, which is Tempestas, something like that. It is the element of weather. Weather is a difficult one to scan. I think the only other way to get it is by going all the way up to the clouds up there and scanning those. So it's easier to make it down here. Now that I've got that, though, I can start scanning some other stuff, like grass and stuff like that. So I will get back to doing some scanning and then figure out how the heck to get the rest of this stuff. Not all of it is easy to work with, but there's going to be a lot of scanning, and I'm going to have to do a lot of that off camera here, because otherwise it's just going to take up a lot of time. Nope, even though I made Nitor, I still don't know how to make Nitor, which is interesting, but we'll go with it. Yeah, lots of scanning, lots and lots of scanning. So, after that, that pretty much covers much of Thaumcraft, though. There is a lot more to it, but at the very least, that is the beginnings of Thaumcraft. Yeah, there's a lot to do. That space down there, that's not even close to enough. So that will be coming in the near future. But in the meantime, scanning all of the things. All of the things. Everything, everywhere needs to be scanned. It never ends. So that's going to be the bulk of my life for the next while here. Now, one thing I did want to show you is whatever the heck that is. That actually surprised me. That is a cow with a thing on his head. Energized glowstone, however, that's a nice cow. I might actually set up some cow milking in the next episode, because I've gotten some good cows that I might want to start making use of. I have no idea what that is. That's a crazy looking red dude on a tiny turtle on top of a cow. Sure, why not? I did make petals to go in these drawers here, because I needed a place to store them. They were filling up my Botania chest. So that was a fun little addition that I did there. Otherwise, I've just been fiddling around and expanding my storage and figuring out how to sort up all the loot that's coming there. I haven't done too terribly much else. I did notice that my magmatic dynamos here are successfully powering my entire base. That's always at 0, meaning they're pulling all of the energy directly from the dynamos. Probably shouldn't do, but that's okay. And that stays at 0, pulling from the dynamos only at night as well, even with my sifting setup running. So I've got a pretty good balance there. My solars are not being used currently, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. The dynamos are doing their thing, and it's free power at the moment. The last thing that I did, aside from going the wrong direction, is this little thing back here. This is a compact drawer setup that automatically compresses cobblestone. I mentioned I needed compressed cobblestone in mass quantities in the future, so I got this started because all of this was kind of going to waste. I've upgraded a couple of them, but I didn't really have enough materials to fully upgrade all of them. But I did get myself started. Now all this really does is it takes cobblestone, like so, compresses it automatically into the highest tier that the one drawer can do, which goes from single to compressed to double compressed, and then it pumps out double compressed into this drawer, which takes it to triple and then quad, etc., all the way up to octuple compressed. Currently I only have one sextuple compressed, which is fine. That's plenty for now, but I will need a lot more, and I will have to increase the load on these things significantly in the future. But for right now, I wanted to get that started just so I can have it going constantly while I'm doing other stuff. So that's a little update on what I had done off the side here. When I come back next time, I might expand this area a little bit more and enclose it into a more nifty looking building. I don't quite know what my final design plan is yet, but I will make something up and hopefully make it look decent enough. Not the greatest builder in the world, but I do try sometimes. So, I hope you enjoyed the first part of Thaumcraft. I will be revisiting it many times over and expanding it as I go. But for right now, I'll do all of the painful stuff off camera so you don't have to suffer with me. But until next time, see ya!